WMC-FM Memphis. This is FM100.
Who could forget Olivia Newton-John, Physical? This was from, I don't know when this was.
Chris Ryan Anderson picked out all these great songs for us today.
Chris Ryan Anderson.
I think that this song was from 1981.
Yep.
I think you're right.
It was number one for 10 weeks.
Do you remember the fashion?
The fact that you know that is
That was one of the longest running number one songs of the 80s.
Listen to you go.
I know it. He's good at it.
Yeah.
But do you remember the fashion back then? What the clothes everybody was wearing?
Yes.
All of a sudden, the workout clothes were big, and people were going to giant workout classes because of her. I guess
the leg warmers.
Yeah,
Yes.
the leg warmers, and there was a little headband involved in the thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy then. So, how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing okay.
You went home, you got a shower, came back.
Walk this dog.
Yeah. I did a little bit of shopping, had to let my dog out because that's my usual routine. I will, at the end of the show, I'll go home, let my dog out, and then come back and do some more work.
Right. And we got to mention, Ryan, can we talk about your future, what's going on?
It's up in the air.
I know it's up in the air.
So this is one of the hardest working, if not the hardest working guy in radio today.
Yes.
Without a doubt. I will say, Ryan, the best music director and assistant program director. I'm telling you, anyone would be lucky to have you on their team because you are absolutely incredible. As a matter of fact, like we were just talking about, all these songs you're hearing, this is the kind of ear that he has, and this is what he does. He's so smart. He's so talented.
And the thing about Ryan is he is the nicest person you will ever meet in person. Even if he was trying to say something mean about somebody, it would still come out nice.
And there's like you've never even been mad. I've never seen you angry. Do you get upset at all?
I do get upset, but
I've seen him upset.
I've never seen him angry.
Puts it inside.
Yeah. No,
What was the last thing he was upset about? Can you say that?
Well, I think it's not necessarily upset. It's more like he gets
Concerned.
flustered.
Yes, flustered.
yeah, I
So-
get irritated.
Yeah, so you get flustered, and if it's, I'm not going to say if things don't work out exactly the way you want, it's like you get a little flustered.
Yeah, because I'm like I have all my ducks in a row person. So when somebody kicks one out of the way, it's like I'm all
I'm right
frazzled.
with you.
So I have people asking me, what are the people at FM100 now going to do when FM100 makes a switch? So everybody send good wishes for Ryan that he ends up in his perfect new radio home.
Yep.
And then Aaron will stay at 99.7 doing middays at 99.7 The Wolf.
Correct. Yes, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I won't have to wake up as early as I used to.
Lucky.
I won't see you guys bright and early necessarily.
No.
One of the
But-
things I'm going to miss most about coming in the morning with Ron and Karen, Ron coming into the studio, hey, Ryan, I got a problem with my computer. I'm Ron's IT person.
You are.
I'm like,
You saved me a lot
Ron,
of times.
all you do is push that button.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've saved me a bunch of times.
A bunch of times.
A bunch of times. He was the best at it. So this is actually your last day here then.
It is, yeah.
And Aaron, you're going to be going to the 10 thing. But then when Karen and I come in the parking lot, it's just going to be me and you in the
That's
one
right.
car. That's it then.
In one car. And then Jill
Come
Bucko's
together.
Jill Bucko is going to be on 104.5
Right.
The River. You will hear her, so make sure you, by the way, you want to listen to 104.5 The River for Ron Olson and Karen Perrin every morning. Jill Bucko will be on weekends, on Saturday and Sundays, and filling in.
And don't worry about Chris. He's our boss.
Yeah.
That's right. He'll be fine.
He's fine.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be great then. Jill, we got a phone call a minute ago that I thought you might like to hear. Can we work this thing? Let's see if I can make it happen.
Oh, no, you got it. That's
I
the
got
right
it
one. You
right
see
here,
it.
right there. Boom.
Hi, good morning. I'm calling because I remembered a story from years ago when Jill was announcing her pregnancy.
Oh, my gosh.
And Ron told us to put the sound up on the radio, and I thought, okay, Ron's family's having another baby, and all of a sudden I hear the heartbeat, and they said, you have just heard the heartbeat of Jill's baby.
You're going to make me
And I
cry.
was
That's incredible.
in my office by myself, and I'm Jill's cousin from New York. And I remember I couldn't wait. It was early in the morning, and I couldn't wait for somebody to be up that I could call and let them know what I just heard.
Tell me your name again. Who is this?
Patty Riley.
Oh, my God, Patty. This is my cousin.
I listened to your show every morning, and I just could not believe it that day. And when I heard you saying today, going back over stories about Elliot, I said, oh, my God, that has always stuck in my head that I got to hear his heartbeat.
Oh, Patty, I miss you dearly. That's an amazing story. I can't believe it. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. Love you.
Love
Great
you
story,
more.
baby. Good morning, Ron, and everybody here at FM100. Hello,
all Ron and everybody,
We're all
and the
here
rest.
Saying hello, then. That's
You know,
pretty
I was
cool.
thinking you really announced your pregnancy in a cool way. I just played Fascinating Factor Lowdown Lie with Ron and Steve when I announced my first pregnancy, and they didn't believe me. I wish I couldn't find it on tape anywhere, but I played, Fascinating Factor Lowdown Lie, and you'd ask a question, and I said, Karen Perrin is expecting a baby, and Ron and Steve were like, that's a lie. I'm like, actually, it's a fascinating fact. And then for my second one, I had to fool them again, but the heartbeat was a much more clever way to do it.
Well, I remember when you had your baby, and this is just a true testament that Karen never is not working. Literally right after you gave birth, Ron calls you in the hospital. I think I was doing nights or middays. It was because your children are grown now. And you said, Karen, how you doing? And you said, well, I'm good. And he said, how's the baby? And it's like the baby on cue started crying. And everybody started crying because we got to hear your baby cry for the first time all together.
Right.
It was amazing.
Well, we were interviewing Kathy Lee Gifford on the radio that morning, and I thought, well, that's weird. And I went to the bathroom, and I didn't realize my water had broken.
Right.
And then Steve's knocking on the bathroom, are you okay? I'm like, I guess. And I said, yeah, I think I'm going home. I think I might be having this baby today.
And I had to go in and mop the mess up.
No, you did not.
There is no truth to that at all. But yeah, Ron.
Then,
What now? Are you, liar, what now?
Then she named her second son Walter after me.
It's Walker, and there's no T, and there's no
Are you sure?
100%. Why would I name my kid after you?
Because I'm with you all the time.
But reason 412 not to name a kid after you.
Okay, well.
Not Ronald, not Walter. And if you have those names, no offense to you.
All right.
It's just this one.
Coming up in a little bit here, we've got Henry Nelson. Remember Henry
Yeah,
Nelson?
Wendy Hayes is going to be here.
Yep.
We'll have more with Steve Conley. There are so many great people that worked at the station over the years.
We're taking a lot of phone calls, too. It's a lot of fun. This thing, I didn't know how. I'm worried about this for 3 weeks.
I know.
Now it's starting to work.
Now he's crying.
Not yet.
Almost.
FM100 saying goodbye. It's Ron and Karen. A lot of good memories today. And Karen, we have a very special VIP guest standing by on line 1.
Who is this on line 1?
Karen Perrin.
Henry Nelson. Henry Nelson. It is so good to talk to you. You have to remind everybody you were at FM100 for a very long time.
You guys sound like you're on the radio.
So do you.
Radio people. No, I was at FM100 a couple of times actually.
Right.
In 73, 74 to 79, and then again from like your early 80s to 1994.
Wow.
Over 94. Well.
Wow, no kidding. So you spent a lot of time here. What when you think about all that time period you were on here, what do you think of the most? What was the stuff that comes back, flooding back to you?
Other than the fact of being in touch with the same people for so long, man, it's like we were kids. I was 19 years old.
I know it. When Henry and I first started working together, Henry and I go back to the WLYX days.
Oh, my.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when I was first getting into radio, I remember, you're trying to do college radio and stuff, and all of a sudden I heard this FM 89.3. There's a guy named Henry Nelson. I'm like, where's this coming from? And then our careers basically started together, and we worked together. We had some of the most fun in the 70s at FM100 that we were like soul brothers. We went through a lot together.
I missed all the fun part of the 70s and 80s on radio with you guys.
Well, I think that's actually what shaped my life. I mean, just being at FM100 when I was at that age, because there were things that we were doing that are now part of what's happening in radio now, although it's gone to another level.
Right.
But I'll never forget times like being literally in the heart of Memphis in Overton Square. And I remember walking down to Arden Studio. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a walk, but George Bryant was on board. And we actually listened to Leonard Skinner do their pronounced album, whole album, in 9 minutes of Freebird live in Arden Studios, live on FM100. It is the most electrifying moment I remember in my life.
Yeah, and it was, who knew back then? Because we did talk about that Overton Square and all the music. We were doing live concerts with Billy Joel and Barry Manilow.
Yeah.
And
Minnie Riperton.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Leon Russell and the Shelter People. I mean, it was there were so many great acts came through there. I mean, Kiss played Lafayette's. back in the day. Their very first time they played Memphis, it was at Lafayette's in Overton Square. So, also, that was just so much fun between Huey's and Trader Dick's and Fridays and all that.
Trader Dick.
And Mississippi River Company and Silky Sullivan's and Bombay Bicycle Club and God, just all the clubs. Solomon Alfred's.
This could be fun.
Yeah, and not to mention, you remember Live from Bill Street with just the whole WMC family. It was such a family,
right?
And we partnered and went down on Bill Street. And actually started in Overton Square.
Right, you did.
I remember Bill Street. I was at Bill Street at the whatever the theater was there, and. You know how we do the shots from different places?
Right.
I'm standing on stage at this the New Daisy, and there's a crowd, and I'm telling them, hey, we're live on WMC and FM100. And I had a few drinks, and I don't know what hair got up my butt.
Right.
But I decided I was going to jump out in the crowd.
Oh, good.
And I remember flying from that stage. There's a crowd, and in slow motion, I could see it partying. And there's this concrete floor. But, it was fun. I'll never forget that. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was.
If you just turned it on the radio, this is FM100 getting ready to make the big flip. Well, the Wolf 94.1 is coming down to 99.7. I'm Karen Perrin. He's Ron Olson. We have our special guest here, Henry Nelson, who was at FM100 in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Who grew up across the river in Blue Devil country over in West Memphis and got a lot of good memories. And
can I tell my favorite Henry Nelson story?
Yes, I want to hear it.
So
please.
I didn't meet Henry till I started at FM100 in the 90s. And Henry was music director at the time, so he had this little bitty closet where he did the music and stuff. But he did nights at FM100 when I first started, and I started in promotions. And Henry was doing a contest, and I was listening on the radio, and I'd met Henry, and I thought Henry was great. And he was playing the song by the B-52s and Love Shack. And so this was, I guess, even before the internet, because it was early 90s. And he wanted everybody to call in. He was doing a contest. And he said, what are they saying? And he was asking about the line, tin roof, rusted.
Gotcha.
And so he wanted to know, because when you first heard the song, you couldn't tell what they were saying. Never forgot this. This person called in, and Henry said, what are they saying? And this caller said, Henry Nelson. So to this day, anytime I think of Henry, I think of Henry Nelson.
I always wondered where you got that from.
It was a contest that you did on the air. It was hilarious.
That's cool.
I remember the B-52 thing.
Yeah.
Right,
You
that was
always
fun.
going, Henry.
Right.
No.
That is why. It was your fault.
The whole reason we both got into it was love of music. Think of all the great concerts and the music we got and artists that we got to break back in the day, because I've said it time and time again, back in those days, there was no internet, and people came to the radio stations for what was going on for the TGI parties and the new artists and the new albums and the new songs and on and on. And we were lucky to be a part of it back then on FM100.
That was even through the 90s.
I know. All right, Henry Nelson, anything you want to say to the people that are listening? We got, somebody said, close to 500,000 people listening right now.
Wow. Well, I tell you, growing up at the WMC stations, FM100, WMC-AM, and all those, the TV station, I'll never forget being a child there. But even more importantly, Ron and I and Joe Birch, we also had a chance to gather again. Ron, were you there that night we gathered at Joe Birch's house?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have a picture to prove it, Henry. It's me, you, Ron, and Steve.
Yeah. I mean,
of course you were there.
Because you're right. I know where you're going with this. It was a very, very unique family thing.
It was a family.
Yeah. It stays with me today, and that's it shaped my life.
Henry Nelson.
Nelson.
It's a monumental day in radio history today. FM100 is going away after 57 years of playing rock and roll music, according to our friend Greg Hamilton. And in the studio with me right now is Karen Perrin and the legendary Steve Conley.
Hello.
Hello.
So for many years, You know,
return.
It was Ron, Steve, and Karen for many years, and here we are again today in the same studio. But way before it was Ron, Steve, and Karen, Steve used to do middays, as you all are very well aware, right here at FM100.
That's
Ron
right.
had probably gone through about 7 or 8 morning show partners at that time.
Exactly.
But Steve, people still to this day talk about the all-request lunch hour.
It was great.
On FM100.
I was playing oldies for the day. Nobody else was playing them, and I was getting stuff from the 50s and 60s, and and just and
it was fun.
It was just free for. It was like a morning show in noon, and then I did a little bit called Conley's Queries, and that kind of added to it a little bit. And as goofy as that might have been,
that was before the internet. We should point out because Conley's Queries were nuggets of information,
right?
And we all know what you could do with those.
Yep.
Relish, remember, and repeat.
There you
Relish,
go.
remember, and repeat. As an example, the all-time greatest was 3,215. The number of squirts it takes for a cow to give up a gallon of milk.
Conley's Queries.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So anyway, we had a lot of fun. And I started full-time in 81. And Olson was across the street at K97 at that time.
Right.
And a guy named Bill Hickok was doing mornings with us. And it just wasn't going very well.
It's hard for me to remember who was in and out.
All the
so
years
Hickok
together.
was there when you started.
Yes, Hickok was there. Actually, when I was
McKeever
working there,
also?
Ron Jordan was on the air, and then he got kicked off the air because he just went bananas.
Wait a minute. You're saying Ron Jordan was before Bill Hickok?
Yeah.
No way.
Ron Jordan, and then Hickok, and then you.
When did McKeever come in?
McKeever was hired after he floundered out in Los Angeles with D's. They brought him in with Hickok, and he worked with Hickok, and then they handed him off. So it was Olson and McKeever.
So in that whole scheme of things, Ron Jordan was before Hickok.
Yes.
Can I tell you my favorite Ron Jordan stories?
Sure.
2 of them. One time he would, the morning show started at 6 o'clock in the morning. One time he shows up at the radio station at 6 o'clock at night.
Yes, I remember that story.
He shows up at 6 o'clock at night, and like, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah.
And the guy on the air is going, what are you talking about? It's 6 o'clock at night. He goes, it is?
Yeah, it was a guy named Memphis Mike, and he was sitting on the air. And Dottie, who was the receptionist, they had a receptionist at FM100 or WMC,
Right.
and he wondered why she's sitting at the desk at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's how crazy Jordan was.
Yes.
Long time after he left, one of the Cadillac dealerships called the radio station about 6 months after he left, and he said, hey, we're trying to get a hold of Ron Jordan. He's got one of our cars. And they go, what do you mean he's got one of your cars? He goes, yeah, he called us up one time and said, I'll plug y'all all day long if you just let me take one of those Cadillacs and drive around town in it. And so they gave it to him, and he was supposed to plug the Cadillac dealership, and they finally had to really hunt him down to get the car back. It took forever.
Oh, gosh.
And I've got a great Terrence McKeever story. I started when I worked with McKeever. I think it was when I'd left FM100 and went to K97 and came back and worked with McKeever as my first partner ever. And he was the guy that we did exit routes from the city bit, which was one of the funniest things ever. We thought it would be funny one morning to announce to the world that you had to evacuate the city.
Right.
And that so we started giving out zip codes and telling people how to get out of town. We never mentioned what happened, or was it a gas leak, or what, So we thought it was hilarious. And so then we started getting phone calls from the fire department, and they said, are y'all announcing exit routes from the city? Because people are panicking. We're like, no, it's not us. We'd hang up and we'd laugh. A few minutes later, the police department calls, are y'all announcing exit routes from the city? No, we're not. Ha, 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 ha. And so we thought, well, just keep this going for a while. And all of a sudden, we hear a couple of doors slam. And here comes Frankenstein. General Manager Don Myers. Who was a very large man.
Barrel-chested, big, imposing kind of a figure.
He was a big dude. He came in. His face was blood red. The veins were popping out of his neck. And he used some salty language on us. And accused us of being, and screamed at us to go on the air right now.
Are you out of your minds?
Go on the air and tell everybody right now that you're just kidding. It's a joke. And we're like, okay, calm down. And then McKeever, He's the one that did the Heine wine stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very popular.
That was huge, man. People were going down to Iuka, Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They were trying to find the winery down there, just like Ski Mount Moriah and all the other things that we did over the years.
McKeever was a rather unusual individual. I told you one time, he left our station and went to Tampa and got on like the biggest rated radio station in America for years with Mason Dixon and those guys down there. And I remember when he told me he was leaving, I thought we were partners, or how, why am I not going with you to Tampa? And he goes, well, you got to learn one thing: everybody cuts their own deal. I said, okay, life lesson.
Yeah,
everybody
sure
cuts their own deal. And
that was all. So you came in 81. You came back over to FM100 from K97. You'd been at FM100 before in the 70s. So you worked with McKeever for several years.
Yes.
And then who else did you work with?
I had the golden opportunity to work with Preston Davis and David Page. Monsieur Page from France. And also one of my greatest friends of all time, Keith Haney. And it was a great time. We had a ball. It was unbridled fun.
And then Kelly Cruz was in there.
Kelly Cruz was in there. Right.
But I think we should also mention that even though Ron is always known as the prankster, before we get too deep into the 90s, we should talk about some of the things you did on the All Request Lunch Hour, one of your more famous little pranks on the rush hour one day.
Yeah.
The lunch hour, I should
Cindy,
say.
our promotion director,
Yes.
Cindy DeBarleben, just came in with a whole list of things. And it's funny, when you do stuff and 20 years later, somebody comes up and says, I remember when you did.
Yes.
And one day I just got a hair up my butt. It was on April Fool's, and I decided to start playing. And I don't know why I picked the song out. I thought it just sounded good. It was Good Lovin' by the Young Rascals. And, people be calling up for requests, and I just kept playing Good Lovin'.
And they'd ask for any other song, and you'd
Hey,
still play.
how about some Cat Stevens? Okay,
Yeah,
here it
right
is.
now.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, Good Lovin'. Hey, Steve, can I hear some Doobie Brother? Yeah, no problem. Here you go. 1, 2, 3, Good Lovin'. So I get a call, Henry Brenner. Remember Henry Brenner? He calls me and says, Steve, there's something wrong with your system because every time you say you're playing a song, it comes out Good Lovin'. I said, Henry, I'm trying to fix that. What do you want to hear? I don't know. Give me some Doors. Okay, no problem. 1, 2, 3, Good Lovin'. And I kept going, and then I'd finally, okay. It's it's the joke. Okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. All right, here you go. What do you want to hear? I want to hear, Cats in the Cradle. Okay, no problem. 1, 2, 3. I did 15 times, but the full around on that is I was at an event in Nashville at the Ryman Auditorium with Steve Cropper, and Felix Cavaliere, the lead singer of the Rascals, was there, and I'm walking out. Everybody's leaving. He's waiting for a car to pull up, and I come up, and Felix, hi, I'm Steve Conley. I worked in middays years ago, and I played Good Lovin' about 15 times in a row in April. I heard about that. What? You're kidding? No. And it was Kevin Kane who had talked to Felix Cavaliere and told him the story.
Well, you know what? You
One
know what we
little
need to
thing.
do right now.
Yeah, play Good Lovin'.
Yeah, why not?
Let's do
Mr.
it.
DJ, fire it up.
1, 2, 3.
Celebrating the many decades of serving the Mid-South.
This is FM100.
It is Ron, Steve, and Karen. We are remembering our days here at FM100, which pretty much went from 1994 of us being on the morning show together, 1994 to 2008-ish with a variety of different shows. But one constant through much of our show was the one and only Wendy Hayes.
Wendy, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be back with y'all for at least a minute or two.
Yeah.
And you've just come through something pretty incredible that I'm glad to hear your voice on the other end.
Yes, I did. I had a pituitary tumor, a brain tumor. I just had removed.
And that's going good?
Yep, I'm doing well. They, left all my sarcasm and funny wit. Took out the bad junk.
So Wendy does traffic, but still my favorite line that people say to Wendy is, hey, I like your weather.
I know. I'm not the weather girl, y'all.
Oh, I'll tell you, back in the day, listening to some old tapes, it was pretty amazing. The show, we had Wendy in the air. We had in a real helicopter,
Right.
doing traffic. We had somebody else on the ground doing a helicopter. We had sports guy, usually a danger boy.
Mm-hmm.
We had Jarvis would even come up and do it. We had a news person. We had a producer and all that. And it was a magic. It was a golden time for radio back in the day. It was a lot of fun. And you're still doing traffic. That's it.
I am still doing traffic. Yes, I am.
Talk about your memories of working at FM100. Anything funny come to mind or anything crazy that you remember that stands out?
I mean, I just think we had some of the best listeners in the world who always participated and always made something fun to talk about or whatever. I've got a couple of old Airchecks I listened to and just made me laugh. And just the community, the things that we did. I remember standing out in front of the building and collecting money for, many things and how supportive the city of Memphis was for anything that we did.
One of the first things we did was for Officer Overton when we were collecting money out in front of the station. That was a big thing we did with the whole WMC family of stations, and that was a huge event where the community came together.
That's probably one of the best things we ever did.
That stands out in my 40 years of radio. Never have I, and I don't think we experienced anything like that. It grew like a wildfire and got all the way up into the edges of Arkansas, all the way to Oprah Winfrey, to the then Vice President Gore, and it was just an amazing fundraiser.
It was like $300,000 something dollars, I think. Cindy, come on in here. Cindy.
And we're talking about Officer Don Overton of the Memphis Police Department.
Right, that was one of the first ones we did, and it was a fallen officer, an officer who had died in the line of duty, and we raised all this. I think it was over $329,000 or something, and we counted that up on the second floor of the WMC building, dollar bill by dollar bill, quarter by quarter. I remember that very well.
And, if you recall, she was 8 months pregnant with their first child. Right. And it was really touching. That was, in my estimation, I think, the most.
But and that was kind of the seed for, we did it several other times, too, whenever a police officer was killed in the line of duty, the fireman that died. So we kind of stepped up on that for probably about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we did about 4 or 5 of those in front of the WMC building, for sure.
Right. It was amazing.
And that whole building was... it was like a broadcast fortress. I mean, it was amazing. Between Channel 5 and then WMC-AM at the time, but especially Channel 5 and FM100, we were a media force that was pretty much unmatched in Memphis.
Yeah, Wendy even started out as my intern in the promotion department before we were both on the air.
I did. I used to have to run concert tickets down to everybody downstairs.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And we both worked for Cindy, so go figure.
That's wild. That's wild.
Well, Wendy, we're glad to talk to you. Glad you're doing better after your surgery. And again, it is just always great to hear your voice, but it's really nice to have all of us in one studio together for just a few minutes, just to relive a few of those moments, because it's always great having you. I feel like you should do a sponsor and a traffic report right now.
I know. I mean, it's just this, 5 minutes has just made me smile from ear to ear. So it's just been great to talk to
Wendy
y'all.
and her big old brown eyes.
Oh, my gosh, those deer eyes. Absolutely.
Wendy, can you say Malfunction Junction just one time for us? And tell us where that is.
Malfunction Junction, 101 Connect.
Where in the heck is the 101 connector? I've never figured it out.
I know.
We've never figured that out.
No, the 101 connector.
Was that a joke or was it real?
No, who made that up? Joey Hatley or something? Or
I think somebody did, because I learned it from somebody else.
Yeah, it's a traffic thing.
Crazy talk. All right, Wendy, you got to do your famous sign off for us. Sign off. Yes, got it.
Really? You're going to put me on the spot like that? I'm Wendy Hayes. That's your FM100 traffic.
Yeah. Perfect. And this is a great song for her. One of my favorites from Michael McDonald and the Doobie Brothers. And there's a story behind this
yes, there
song
is.
that we'll share with you in just a couple of seconds. You don't know me.
Love your brother.
FM100 hanging out in the studio today, taking it to the streets. Michael McDonald standing by our buddy Argo, who is the king of all things now in the world of Elvis music and everything. I think he's there on the phone standing by right now. Let's go to him real quick. Hey, it's FM100, Ron, Steve, and Karen, and today is a very special day. Why, Karen?
It's crazy. We're taking a little time to remember FM100 as the Wolf is about to make the move to 99.7 for country music, and we're inviting some of our friends back from the Ron, Steve, and Karen Morning Show days. Please welcome to the station once again, Argo!
Yeah.
Argo! Woohoo!
Argo, how you doing?
I am fabulous. You are about to step on stage. Do you have a part?
That was a sign in the studio for many years.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh.
All right, Argo, catch us up to speed. What's going on in your life these days?
I am coming to you from Graceland right now, proudly broadcasting on Elvis Radio on Sirius XM, and I have been here almost 20 years now.
Gosh,
No way.
that is amazing.
Right? Argo, what comes rushing back to you when you think about those days on the radio with us?
Well, you know, for me, it was a dream because I grew up in Memphis listening to FM100. So I listened to all of you guys, and then getting to work with you was like a dream come true. And I've told people many times over the years, I learned so much just from being with y'all and working with y'all. And, you know, we spent so much time together, almost more time with each other than we did our families. And the majority of the time, we were laughing. We were having fun. And I will never forget those moments. They are a part of who I am, and I'm so thankful that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, you were.
We feel the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Argo was the one that kind of pieced the whole thing together.
You know, it really was a good morning show.
It really was.
And Argo was such a part of it because he would set everything up in the morning. We'd come in at 5:30 or whatever, and everything would be laid out. He'd be there overnight, have done all that. And you were invaluable in so many ways, man.
Right. We're talking with Argo, one of our co-workers from FM100 back in the day. Argo, any funny stories you'd like to pass on to people?
Home shoppers.
Home shoppers. Now, let's explain, because our 800 number back in the day at FM100 was one number off from one of the home shopping networks, so we would get wrong numbers all the time. And funny, Ron and Steve always enjoyed messing with the people who called.
Those were so much fun. Okay, Argo, you're on stage, baby. Anything else come to mind?
You know, it's just the power of FM100 and the great things that we did, too. I remember every year just being amazed and humbled by the Make-A-Wish work that you all did, and the people and the families and the kids that we would have in the studio just really authentically touched my heart to see what we were doing and, you know, to be a part of that.
I mean, over the many years, we must have raised countless millions.
Countless.
You know, we didn't, but I mean...
With Make-A-Wish,
yeah, exactly, and with the help of the people. But
another one real quick, we think about our the late Dan Lenzini, who was just a wonderful guy and so funny and so great to work with. And the time that we had Michael McDonald in the studio, and Dan was in there too, and Dan sounded just like Michael McDonald. And so we have the two of them singing Doobie Brothers songs back and forth to one another. It's a moment I'll never forget.
I think about that all the time.
All the time.
He sounded exactly. Even Michael McDonald was like, I don't know if he was mad or what.
Just taken back.
But he came up in the studio with his little keyboards and played in the studio. And it's like the thing we did with James Taylor back in the day when Preston was, you know, very good about the whole mocking people. And he sounded just exactly like James
Not really
Taylor.
mocking, more like an impersonation.
But so we had him on the air with, and he was, to make it even sound more believable, he goes, "How's Vicky? How's Jessica doing? Your old buddy James Taylor. Can I play a song? Sure." And I've got, how about Fire and Rain? Okay. And then the salespeople from the station were coming down the hall in droves to see James Taylor. They wanted to meet him.
Who was really Preston.
But then the funny thing, he was playing at Mud Island, and the tour bus people, they were coming in. They were listening as they drove in. Well, they said, well, James is already there. So they didn't do something that was supposed to be done before the show that caused a big bunch of trouble.
Right.
Because he said, we heard him on the radio. They work with him. They heard him on the radio every single day then. Argo, it's always fun. And how's your wife doing? Beth, she was on FM100 for a long time.
She was indeed.
She was. That's where we met. And she's doing great. We have 3 boys. And again, we were blessed to be a part of the magic of that place, and so lucky that we got to be there when we did.
How many times did I walk into the station, you two are making out in the production room?
Stop it.
That's ridiculous. All the time.
All right, Argo, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you for joining in today.
Love you guys.
See you, baby.
You too, baby.
What a crazy day we got going on here today. It's one more hour to go, basically.
Flew by, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's flying. It really is. It's cooking. One more hour, then we're going to say goodbye to a lot of good memories. 56 years, Greg, was that right? 56 years of rock and rolling. Take a break.
February 6, 1967.
Wow.
That's right. And you know what? I actually have the first advertisement, I believe. My old boss sent me this.
Show that to Greg.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that before? It was in the paper.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah. Those print ads.
Right.
We were owned by Scripps Howard.
Right.
Who owned the morning and afternoon newspapers.
Yeah.
So
they did helped us out.
Helped us out with nice little newspaper ads.
Good. Free ads are always good then. Coming up next hour, we're going to do our, we got a lot of people standing by. Mary Norman, Lisa Patton, Earl Farrell, Kevin Kane, and Danger Boy and all that. We'll get to it in a couple of seconds. Take a break. Come right back.
Hi, it's Ron Olson and Karen Perrin, and we enjoyed all of our years working here at FM100.
But now we're at 104.5 The River. Here's a couple reasons why you might want to try it on for size.
I love the variety of the music, like from the old to the new. That's the best station.
Oh, it's the best radio station in the area.
So come find us weekday mornings. It's Ron Olson and Karen Perrin, 104.5 The River.